Hi folks, and welcome to How's It Rate. My name's Chico and I'll be your host today. Today we're going to be baking popovers. A recipe sent in by one of our viewers, Michelle. She wanted us to make this recipe and give it a rating. So, without further ado, here we go. First ingredient we're going to need is 1 cup of flour. Just regular old all-purpose flour, nothing special. Then we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a little bit of cayenne pepper, one cup of whole milk in this case. I suppose you could use 2%, but I like to use the whole milk. 2 eggs, which I brought to room temperature, just to force a habit from getting it drilled into me in culinary school. And we're going to whisk this mixture until it's nice and smooth. It'll be very thin, but that's the way popover batter is supposed to be. So just keep whisking until you've got all the ingredients mixed in nicely and you have a nice thin batter. As you can see here, the batter is very thin, but that's what we're looking for. That's popover batter. Now, Michelle didn't specify what size pan to use, but she did specify to butter the muffin pan very well, which I'm doing here. I chose to use a standard size muffin pan. As you can see, it's a 12 capacity pan. Now, I don't know what the yield is because she didn't say, especially since she didn't specify the pan. So I'm going to butter all of these muffins. Now, I know there's some of you out there that said, well, if I knew how many ounces those little holes were, I could have measured the final result I got when I mixed the batter and come up with the right pan, and you know how it goes. Well, guess what? Perfection doesn't exist in the kitchen, and especially for me, I'm far from a perfectionist. But if you make cooking too complicated, it's not enjoyable, and I enjoy it. So it was a mystery to see how many we'd butter, or how many we'd fill after we butter them. But guess what? It's all going to work in the end. So as long as you do things, and don't deviate too much from the recipe, you can get away with a lot. So have fun when you're baking. Just go for it. Now that I've got my pan all buttered up, in addition to the butter, Michelle said we have to spray the cavities of the muffin pan with a release spray. This is just a regular vegetable oil spray with flour in it, and I'm going to spray them well to make sure I've got all the nooks and crannies covered. I have the feeling these babies are not going to stick to this pan. Well, it's time to fill our pan with batter, and as I said, I really don't know how many we're going to fill here, but I know it's not going to be all of them, but I have a feeling it'll probably be maybe 6 or 7. So we're just going to go along and fill each one up about 3/4 of the way up to the top. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can do it a little less or not, but 3/4 is usually the rule of thumb and works well. And by the way, one of the things different about this recipe is that we're using a non-preheated pan. Most of the recipes I've seen required a very hot pan. You would put the batter in and then put them into a preheated oven. That's not the case with this recipe. The muffin pan itself is cold, and we're going to put them into a cold oven. Absolutely stone cold. So, it's a little unusual, but Michelle says it works. We're going to find out. Michelle had another twist to this recipe. She added a little bit of shredded cheese to each one of the compartments, and she made it point to say very little. You don't want a lot of cheese in there, otherwise these popovers will not rise correctly. She stated cheddar. I didn't have any cheddar on hand. I did have a little mozzarella, so that's what I used. By the way, you notice we got 7 of the compartments 3/4 full, and I've got one there on the bottom right that didn't quite make it to the top, but hey, a little popover is better than no popover at all. So our yield here looks like it's going to be 7 and a little tiny baby one. Well, it's time to put our popover batter in the oven. As I mentioned, this is a stone cold oven. And we're going to put them in there. And once we close the door, we're going to set the temperature to 450 degrees and bake this for 30 minutes. And no peeking allowed. You are not allowed to open that oven door. So keep an eye on it, 30 minutes or until they look really nice and golden brown on the top. Timer says there's 1 minute left. I'm trying to take a video of the popovers in the oven. A little tough to do through the glass, but they are ready to come out. So let me put my mitt on, and I'll see you in a little bit. Well, here we have it. Our popovers are out of the oven, and I got to tell you, Michelle, they look absolutely gorgeous. So I guess that old cold oven trick didn't affect them at all. As a matter of fact, I've had better success with this than I have with some of the older methods. So far, so good. You know what the next thing is, the taste test. Well, 30 minutes was the magic number for cooking these. Look at them, they're absolutely gorgeous. And if you listen real close, you can hear a crunch when I open that up. Look at that beautiful eggy batter, nice and airy, absolutely perfect. You got a winner there, Michelle. I gotta rate this a 5, and thank you for sending in that recipe. Well, guys, that was a fun recipe to do. Wasn't hard, very few ingredients, and start to finish was only about 45 minutes, and she got a 5, rated at 5. So if anybody out there would like to share more recipes with me, please do so, and I'll be happy to try it out and give it a rating. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like, and I hope you subscribe to my channel. Thanks again, and have a great day. Bye-bye now.